Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another long, reflective, slow, and deeply personal episode. Today, I want to talk about a season in my life that changed everything: the way I think, the way I see people, the way I understand happiness, and even the way I understand myself. It wasn't a dramatic season filled with giant events. There were no explosions, no plot twists, no sudden miracles. Instead, it was a season of small moments, quiet moments that slowly, silently reshaped my life. I think many of us imagine life-changing moments as big, loud, unforgettable days. But sometimes real change happens like the weather, little by little, cloud by cloud, breeze by breeze. And before you even notice, the entire landscape of your life looks different. My life-changing season began on an autumn morning. The air was cold enough to make me breathe a little faster, and the sky had that soft gray color that makes everything feel peaceful and a little melancholic. I remember waking up that day and feeling a strange emptiness. Not sadness, but the kind of emptiness you feel when you know something in your life is missing, but you can't yet name what it is. For months before that morning, I had been living on autopilot. Wake up, work, study, responsibilities, stress, sleep, repeat. I felt like I was running inside a wheel that never stopped turning. I was achieving things, yes. I was doing well, yes. But I wasn't present. I wasn't awake. I wasn't connected to my own life. I was existing, not living. And then autumn arrived. There is something about autumn that forces you to slow down. The air cools, the nights grow longer, the world becomes quieter. Leaves fall one by one as if the trees are letting go of their past. And maybe without realizing it, I started letting go too. One morning that season, I decided to take a walk before starting my day. I don't know why. Maybe I was tired of being tired. Maybe I wanted to hear my own thoughts again. Maybe I just wanted to breathe. So I left my house and walked down a street filled with trees turning yellow and orange. The leaves on the sidewalk made a soft, crisp sound under my shoes. The world smelled like cold air mixed with the scent of wet earth. And as I walked, something strange happened. I felt time slow down. For months, time felt like a storm, fast, loud, uncontrollable. But that morning, it felt like a river, slow, calm, steady. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel rushed. I didn't feel behind. I didn't feel guilty for pausing. I just existed. I walked for almost an hour. No music, no phone, just the sound of my steps and the wind moving through the branches above me. And in that silence, I asked myself a question I had been avoiding for years. Are you living the life you want, or just the life you ended up in? That question stayed with me like a quiet echo for the entire season. Every day when I walked, I felt it repeating softly in my mind. Soon I began to notice things I had ignored for years. The color of the sky in the early morning, the smell of bread from a small bakery I never paid attention to before, the way children laughed on their way to school, the tired smile of an old man opening his shop, the sound of leaves dancing across the ground when a breeze passed through. And maybe, without realizing it, I started letting go too. During that season, I also started reconnecting with myself. Not my achievements, not my goals, not my responsibilities. Myself, the person behind all of those things. I started writing again, not for work, not for school, but for me. I wrote about what I felt, what I feared, what I wanted, what I regretted. I wrote about moments I never gave myself time to understand. I realized how much I had ignored my own emotions because I was too busy being productive. I realized how often I said I'm fine even when I wasn't. I realized how many things I accepted simply because I was afraid to change them. And most painfully, I realized how long I had lived without listening to myself. One evening, I walked to a small lake near my home. The sun was setting behind a line of trees, casting golden light across the water. The surface of the lake looked like a giant mirror reflecting the sky. I sat on the ground, hugged my knees, and just watched the colors change. And for the first time in years, I cried. Not from sadness, not from happiness, from relief, from finally letting myself feel things I had buried for too long. That moment was the beginning of everything that followed. During that season, I made decisions I had postponed for years. I left a commitment that made me feel trapped. I started learning something new I had always been curious about. I reached out to friends I had lost contact with. I apologized to people I had hurt. I forgave people who hurt me. And slowly, step by step, I felt myself returning to life. Not my old life, a new one. A life with slower mornings, a life with meaningful conversations, a life where I no longer chased perfection but presence, a life where I allowed myself to rest, a life where I allowed myself to dream again, not because I wanted success, but because I wanted purpose. The season ended, but the change didn't. Even now, years later, every time autumn arrives, I feel something familiar inside me. A quiet reminder, a whisper, slow down. Listen to yourself. Life is happening right now. And that is the lesson that season gave me, one I will carry for the rest of my life. Life doesn't always change with big moments. Sometimes it changes in silence. Sometimes it changes when leaves fall, when wind moves softly through trees, when you finally take a breath after years of holding it in. And sometimes the most important chapter of your story begins on a quiet morning when you decide to take a simple walk.